A little more stable.
When is this supposed to be aired?
I'm just helping out Los Angeles. Let's see. I think it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow the 8th? Yep.
Tomorrow is the 8th.
So it should run at 5:30 at Showbiz. Showbiz Today. And I can give you a number to call if you want to.
Well, I have the girl that called me.
Lauren Hunter?
No, I think somebody probably works for her.
Oh, okay. I don't
Lori...
know. Lauren Hunter, you wouldn't miss her voice. She has a very distinctive voice.
Is this remote control camera?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I thought you had a very small cameraman. I couldn't say. Hi, guys. Are you in there?
It's an intern.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are we doing a single shot? I guess so.
Monitor.
Yep.
Okay. The voice of God. Just for the record, let me ask your name and your title.
Serial number and all that. Okay. Ready?
I'm ready.
Phil Kaufman, Road Mangler Deluxe. I've been a road manager for on and off for 25 years. Some would call it a quarter of a century of no progress, but because I'm still doing the same thing after 25 years.
I want to ask you about that later when we're off camera. It's K-A-U-F-M-A-N.
Just like that. Phil Kaufman.
Got it.
All right.
Okay. We'll talk about your pal, Charles Manson. How and when did you first meet him?
Well, my pal. He's not really my pal. I met Charlie Manson when I was in prison. I was one of the marijuana felons of the 60s. I got 5 years in prison without probation, without parole. So you get to meet a lot of charming people while you're in there for smoking pot. And I met Charles, and I heard him singing. He sounded a lot like a young Frankie Lane. And I just hooked. I had been in the music business and film business, and we just kind of got together. And we were walking across the prison yard, and he was playing his guitar. And the guard came up to him and said, "Hey, Manson, you know you're not supposed to play your guitar there. There's a special place for guitar." She said, "No, you're never going to get out of here." To which Charlie replied, "Get out of where?" And that seems to have been his philosophy. You know, prison doesn't seem to be a deterrent to Charles. It seems to be a familiar place. In his life, I think he's 50-something now, and I'm sure 35 of those years have been in one institution or another.
You know, what were his aspirations? Did he talk about the entertainment industry, and what did he want to do?
No, the entertainment industry for Charlie I think was a vehicle to his message. As maybe as religious people do music, that was they used it as a vehicle to get their point across, and I think that's what Charlie did. When I was hanging out with him, and I hung out with him prior to the murders. I knew him before the murders, and then afterwards he recontacted me and asked me to help him. That was before I knew he was guilty. And I digress. Where did we go from there?
Oh, his aspirations.
He didn't really have any aspirations as an entertainer per se. It was only, as I said, as a vehicle to get his message across to the masses, which was that there was going to be a black uprising, that we should get all the white babies, make all the white babies we can, and take to the hills and prepare for the black Armageddon.
So he didn't really have a desire to be a star and tour and...
No, nothing like that. No, if it suited his purpose, he would. But that wasn't the ultimate purpose. His purpose was to get the message across and prepare people for this Armageddon that is yet to appear.
You mentioned his talent. Was he talented?
He had a good voice. He was self-taught. As I said, he sounded like a young Frankie Lane. And I ended up producing an album of his music, which was called Lie. Was the album. Actually, it was the cover of Life magazine, and we lifted the F and just moved the E closer, so it came out Lie.
Well, I'll ask you about that in a second, but what about his influences? I know that the Beatles were a huge influence on them. I guess.
Well, I think he read things into the Beatles as other people did, that there was a message there for humanity, and that he was the interpreter of the Beatles' music, and that they were telling him, as us, but he was going to interpret it for us of this problem that he foresaw in the future.
Did he just enjoy the music, or somebody would say he was obsessed?
Well, it wasn't there for enjoyment. It was there for a message. We would sit around and sing it, but the lyrics that pertain to the message.
What about the song Helter Skelter?
Well, that was there's a good his interpretation of what was to come. He interpreted his way. Once again, it was going to be a big problem, and that we should be aware of it.
But why that song and why that group?
There was no reason for it. Just that he heard the music. They were the the popular people at the time, and I guess that he could manipulate the Beatles, if you would, as he manipulated people into using them to convey his message.
Were there other entertainment figures that influenced him or that he hung out with?
No. I mean, he hung out with the Beach Boys, but that was because the Beach Boy in particular, that he hung out with, was a little bit had a little problem of his own, so that he kind of glommed onto him. If he saw weakness in somebody, he manipulated it.
Explain that more to me. How did he get involved with the Beach Boys, and did they?
Well, I mean, I wasn't with him at the time that it happened, but he was traveling, and people were trying to do videos of Charles and the family. They were sort of, they were intriguing because he had all these women around him, and very young. They were very attentive and very strongly attached to him. So people thought at the time, during the hippie movement, it would be good to film them and portray them. But he didn't want that. He wanted to give a message. He wasn't in there to be an entertainer. He had a purpose in life, and he got to it.
So where did the Beach Boys fit into that? Then?
Well, it was just a Beach Boy, and it's just that they let him stay at their house, and he used the Rolls Royce. The girls would take the Rolls Royce down to the local markets and go through the garbage bins and get garbage and come home prepare it. You know, when you go to a market that has age-dated milk or cream, well, if you buy it on the day it expires, you take it home and you keep it in your fridge for a week, but the stores don't. The next day, they check it out. And Charlie and the girl, well, not Charlie, but the girls would go. I believe it was Dennis.
Did Dennis Wilson ever have any impact on?
I know. You mean on Charles? I think Charles just used him because there's certainly no Beach Boy music or even influence in his music. I think that Dennis was a celebrity that was available for using and abusing, and he did.
How would you describe Manson's music?
At first it's intriguing, but when you get to it, there's always that bottom line message, especially in the song "Look at Your Game Girl," I think, which Axl Rose did, and that was the song that Charlie would sit down with a new girl and the family, and he'd play and "Look at Your Game Girl," which was for her to be introspective and see where her parents were or her environment was leading her astray, and that if you came with us, you look at your game and look where you could really be with us. We're all very happy, and eventually we're going to kill somebody.
You mentioned Axl Rose. What is the appeal of Manson's music 25 years later?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a very good music to begin with, but there are other groups doing his music. There's a weird group called Marilyn Manson. He took the name from Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson, and he's performing some of Charlie's music. I think it's you could turn a trick with it. You know, it's fascinating for a younger generation because it's about 25 years now since it happened. So the younger generation is intrigued by what happened back then to youth, and that they just got there's an interest there somehow. I don't know how exactly I can explain it exactly, but that's how I see it.
Is it something to do with like a dark side?
Yeah, could be. He seemed so innocuous at the time. In fact, he was until the murders. He was, you know, just another little hippie with a bunch of girls driving around the bus at that time. You know, flower children. But unfortunately, the flower turned out to be a Venus flytrap, and a lot of people got caught up in it. It's a good analogy. I like that.
So do I. There's a lot of speculation that perhaps the killings were caused by a record deal gone wrong. I guess a record executive had lived in the house.
Well, if that was true, there'd be a lot more murders in this world. A lot of record deals go bad, and people don't use that as an excuse. No, the idea was to blame somebody else for the murders, to get this war going, get this Armageddon going, because time's running short, and I think that's what it was.
But you don't see a relation to the
It had nothing to do with business. Once again, as I interpret it. And I spoke with Charlie when he was in trial. He talked to me almost every day. I try to avoid him. And I come home at strange hours of the night just to avoid the phone. That's before answer machines, where you could screen your calls. And boy, the phone ring at 2 in the morning, answer, there'd be Charlie. I don't know how the hell he found me, but, you know. Then I set up the interview for Rolling Stone with, I think it was Dave Felton, and things like that. That's prior to knowing that he was guilty. But then as things progressed, and I distanced myself from when I found out. They attempted to kill me 3 or 4 times.
Why is that?
they wanted to get the rights to the music back. The music never made a nickel. It's always been bootlegged.